Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Najee Wilkins, along with Craig Sager. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. We're going to talk to Kevin Fraser here in just a moment, the Pope head flag football coach. Coming up, we'll also recap the games from yesterday. We'll preview the matchups also for tonight, and then we'll talk to Riverwood basketball coach. We're going to host him on Friday at the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Basketball Classic at Norcross High School. Craig, real quick before we get into it with the head coach, just what's your thoughts of last night real quick? Just give me a quick synopsis of what you saw.
Well, one, I'm really excited for Hughes. I think they put on a good showing. They played very exciting. This is a Milton team where they really haven't been tested all season long. Thought BT played them close. They've had some games, I think Lee County, where they tied it back up. But no one's been able to hang with them. And you said it best. They traded haymakers with Milton. It was a 35-35 game. The touchdown pass to C.J. Wiley put Milton up at the half, and then they made those adjustments. But that was about as exciting a half of football I've ever seen. It was pretty incredible.
100%. Well, guys, without further ado, we're going to bring Coach Fraser on. We know he's very busy, so let's go ahead and bring him. Hey, Coach Fraser, I know it's finals week, so we appreciate you taking this little bit of time to talk about your team.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
100%. Coach, I want to kind of start with the semifinals, probably a budding rivalry potentially happening there with you guys in Milton. Just talk a little bit about that game. You guys won pretty handily, 31-6, but what makes that game so good? What did you kind of learn from your team in that win?
Yeah, I'm good friends with Coach Nixon over there at Milton. He's got a great program, one of the best in the state every year. They've got some big-time players. I think our team was well prepared for that game. We had a good plan, and the girls executed it well. We had 5 interceptions, so that was kind of the big difference. So it was a fairly even game, other than the fact that we had those 5 turnovers. So I think our defense really performed well down the stretch, and that was kind of what propelled us to make it to the Final Four. And then they obviously played a great game in that Final Four, which was big for us.
And then speaking of the defense, Coach, I think in the 4 of your last 5 games, you held opponents to under 10 points. So what did just allow that defense, as you just alluded to, kind of just play well down that stretch? Obviously 5 interceptions against Milton, but what were you seeing from them that allowed them to click?
Yeah, and one of those playoff games against Hooch was a intercepted pitch for a touchdown. So I think our defense gave up 3 touchdowns the whole state playoffs. Our rushers are, really aggressive and fast, and they understand the game well. So they do a good job of keeping the quarterback contained. And then I think our back end, our girls that are playing in the secondary got better and better. We had some young girls step up. We had, a sophomore and junior, and 2 juniors and a sophomore playing in our back end that didn't start at the beginning of the year. And they just were overly aggressive and really played at a high level down the stretch. And kind of once we figured that out about a month ago, we just kept getting better and better as a unit, and it definitely showed in the playoffs.
Now, Coach, I got one more question before I throw it to Craig. I want to ask you about Abby Benson. She had a really good game in the state final, 2 touchdowns. What have you seen from her in terms of her growth and continue to just kind of command this offense and be a leader for you?
Yeah, she's only played quarterback for 6 months, which is pretty amazing. She beat her sister's records, season records. She had 83 touchdown passes this year, over 4,500 yards. I mean, she's a point guard in basketball, one of the best basketball players in the state. And so I think that really translated to flag football, and that she's, distributing the ball. She understands spacing, and she understands, situations. I said yesterday to one of the reporters that there's a lot of times where I ask Abby what play we should call, because she's that smart and that, high IQ on the field. So I think that's really what sets her apart, is just her knowledge of the game and her decision-making, and what she sees is typically right. So, I'm thrilled to be her coach, and she's a great kid, has over a 4.5 GPA, just an all-around great kid, hardworking, and I'm glad she's a junior too. We get her again next year. So.
Coach Fraser, I want your opinion on this. People that are new to flag, they're going to see that there's 4 divisions. Obviously, when it comes to tackle football, there's a bit of a difference between the 6A, the Class 2A in terms of roster size. Do you feel like in flag football, though, I mean, when you look at teams like Southeast Bullock, Columbus, there really isn't that much of a difference in the talent gap?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we played Columbus this year. They've got a ton of talent. Southeast Bullock's obviously only lost one game in 4 years. I do think that there's a lot more teams, a lot more schools that are participating in flag football here in the Atlanta area, which is typically why I think you'll see the Atlanta area maybe make it a little further in the playoffs, just because there's so many more teams. So hopefully it just continues to grow and we can eventually get it to where it's just like any other sport with the regions and 6A or whatever that may look like. But I would say across the board, all these girls that are multi-sport athletes are hearing how much fun flag football is, and so they're playing and enjoying it, and they're playing it at a high level.
And then Chattahoochee was a team you played last year. I think you guys won 33-7. You matched up with them. Very tough game. You said a 7-6 victory. What does it mean to your team, though, when clearly the defense is able to have a big performance, lead you guys to victory, where sometimes maybe the offense is getting credit, but to really have a game, a tight situation like that, where the defense is able to come out of it knowing that they got the job done?
Yeah, I think that game really propelled our team to another level. They intercepted that pitch there with 3 minutes left, and they played us really tough. It was like 30 degrees and windy that day, so it was a tough game for offenses just in general. And then we had a drive with 2 minutes left to go score. We had a 4th and goal from the 10-yard line and scored. If we don't do that, our season's over, and we don't win the state championship yesterday. So really big credit to Chattahoochee and how prepared they were and how well they played us. But again, the defense was the difference. They locked them down and gave our offense an opportunity there at the end to win it. So that was the case for the playoffs for sure.
And then you guys closed out on a 19-game win streak. You'll carry that on into next season. What's your just confidence level in being able to continue what you guys have already established?
Yeah, it's a total team effort. I mean, I've got a great coaching staff that works extremely hard. Obviously, our girls work hard and they love the game, and it helps that they have. We had a team GPA over 4.0 this past season, so we've got high IQ kids that come from great families and have great support from our community. So I think if that can continue, if we can continue to do that and keep our culture as we have it, I think we can continue to be competitive. But again, we're losing some stud senior players, so we'll just have to have some more players step up and maybe find some new recruits too. Exactly,
and then winning back-to-back, that's got to be a great reason to come out for your program. You're going to have a new class of freshmen. Maybe you haven't been able to talk to these girls, see if they're interested. What's that like reaching out to the freshmen each season as you guys prepare?
Yeah, so thankfully this coming year we started a middle school program right before this season. So we have 7th and 8th graders that played on our middle school team, and that middle school team went undefeated in the regular season. We've got some great talent that's coming up, and now they understand the game. So we don't even have to spend that first 6 months teaching them how to play. They're going to be able to just pick it up and go. So we're excited about the 8th graders that we have coming up and 7th graders to follow them. They had a great season, so that's definitely going to help. And then, just getting the word out that, we've got tryouts, and I think spreading the word from our players that, this is a very fun sport, and you got a chance to win a state championship. So I think that should definitely help with recruiting some girls to play.
Okay, Coach, just talk about how tough it is, to kind of just, two-peat similar to how you did. Obviously, you talked about the 19-game winning streak, but you guys endured a lot, had a close loss to South Forsyth. Cherokee was in there as well. But just how hard is that, Coach, just to keep this team motivated and not get complacent with success?
Yeah, great question. I mean, we knew we had a target on our back this year, and I think that those early season losses were actually really good for us. That happened 2 years ago, or last season when we won the state championship too. We had 2 tough losses early on, And I think this year with the target on our back, we knew we were getting everybody's best shot. And I think that was a good, like, humbling experience to lose early, to know that, we've got to keep getting better and better. And after that Cherokee game, we really took a step forward and started playing better and better every week. So I think you definitely learn a lot more from losses than you do from wins. And that was definitely the case again for us this year.
For sure. Now, Coach, before we let you go, I want to ask you about just the off-season playing. You talked about reaching out to some of the young girls in the freshman middle school team having a great year. But what does that kind of look like for you in terms of just, you got girls that are playing club volleyball, you got girls playing soccer, going into the fall, you got girls playing softball. How do you manage all that? And when your team maybe potentially playing some 707s in the summer?
Yeah, it's definitely tough to juggle. We have a lot of girls that most of my girls are basketball or soccer players. So like basketball season, they've been doing both flag and basketball. So that's definitely tough to juggle, but I work well with our basketball coach to work out scheduling. And then this summer, we typically do stuff in July because basketball is all June.
Looks like he might have cut out.
Yeah, looks like he cut out there, guys. That's all the time we have with him. But shout out to Coach Kevin Fraser for coming on and just giving us a little bit about his program and the great intel. 2P here in their division, outstanding program. All right, guys, coming up, we will look ahead at the fast break headlines right here on Peachtree Sports Network.
Great teams are committed,
sheet.
focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
The Georgia Sheet Metal JETC equips apprentices with the knowledge and skills required to start a rewarding career in the sheet metal industry with programs in HVAC, industrial welding, and testing, adjusting, and balancing. Training is 100% free and allows apprentices to earn as they learn. Journeymen graduate with no student debt and have the potential to earn more than most college graduates. Visit our website to learn more about this opportunity at careersinsheetmetal.com.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Remember that you can watch the show via YouTube TV on the Peachtree Sports Network. You can watch it on the CBS Sports local streaming app, Zeem. You can also watch it on the Atlanta News First app via the special events tab. And check us out here on the show. All right, we're going to get into our fast break headlines at number one. We're going to let Craig get it started. We're both going to talk about it. But Toombs County making history, Craig.
Yes, it was a great win for the Bulldogs, 38-18 over Northeast Macon. So they were down 6-0 early. Nick Woodford caught a 35-yard touchdown pass. That was his longest reception of the season. They ended up taking the lead 7-6. Northeast missed 3 PATs in this game. That was a huge factor, just leaving them behind even when they nearly tied it back up. And then Mike Polk, he was the difference maker for me. He had 5 catches for 103 yards and a touchdown. He also had a 92-yard kickoff return when Northeast brought it within 2. and he had an interception. So he did it in all 3 phases. It's something he's done all season long for Toombs County. I think he had another game where he scored in 4 different ways. He had a pick 6, fumble recovery, punt return, and a touchdown reception. So Mike Polk, great performance, and really Toombs County dominated special teams in this matchup, whether it's the PATs, the return game, and then obviously in coverage, they were outstanding. I think with Toombs County, this is a huge win for them. Dominant season, start to finish, #1 the entire year in your poll in most of them. And I just thought TJ Stanley was outstanding. The only quarter Toombs County didn't score was in the 3rd, but then he really turned it on in the 4th, had a great rushing touchdown, 14 of 23, 217 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air, also 83 yards rushing and a touchdown. So he was lights out. I was very impressed. I picked Northeast as a potential underdog. Thought maybe if they played 10 times, they might be able to take one, but ultimately Toombs County was dominant, so credit to them.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was a great pick, Craig. You were high on them all season. They got all the way to the state championship. Unfortunately, we'll talk about this matchup more later, but it just felt like Nicholas Woodford was not 100% in that game. Like he was a little banged up a little bit. Definitely wasn't sprinting like how we're accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, he had that, and that's the thing. He had this one carry where it looked like he was going to break free, but Laganza Hayward caught him, and I was like, well, is he maybe not 100%, or is Laganza just that fast? So it remains a mystery. We'll see. But he didn't have his best game. He did have the great touchdown reception to get things started. Thought Northeast put up a good fight. They'll definitely need to work on the special teams. That's something that killed them in this matchup, not just the missed PATs, but giving up the big touchdown return. Hard to win a game when you miss 3 PATs and give up a big return like that.
100%. All right, guys, let's go to headline 2. Mountain View, Janias Chris, she reached 1,000 career point milestone. She reached a milestone against Seconder in their game on Monday. She was an all-region selection the past 2 seasons for the Bears, and she's had a phenomenal career so far. So shout out to her. A lot of players are reaching this 1,000 career point milestone. It is not an easy feat to do in your high school career, especially, some are starting as freshmen, some aren't. Some are getting to play into their junior season as well. So shout out to her for a great accomplishment. All right, headline 3, Berkmar's Maya Dames leads all Division IV Area 7 girls flag football honors. She earned the top award in her division. And you have Dames was voted Player of the Year after rushing for 1,001 yards, first in division, 6th in the state, and 14 touchdowns, in addition to 25 catches for 265 yards and 3 more scores. Peachtree Ridge had 2 top award winners in Mariella Morales and Aaliyah Jarrell. Morales won Offensive Player of the Year. She had 1,500 total yards and 12 receiving touchdowns, and Jarrell shared the Defensive Player of the Year honors with North Gwinnett's Marissa Giesler. Gerald had 40 flag pulls, 9 interceptions, 6 PAT stops, and Giesler had 73 tackles, 10 pass breakups, 6 interceptions, and 3 defensive touchdowns. Real quick, first team was quarterback Devin Hudson of Peachtree Ridge, also quarterback Krista Robinson of Duluth, Amari Hill for Parkview, Layla Kiev of Peachtree Ridge, Aaron Fisher of North Gwinnett, Lauren Maddox, wide receiver of Brookwood, athlete, Maya Brock of North Gwinnett, athlete, Denasia Leonard Pitts, Duluth, offensive lineman, Zoe Lovelace of Peachtree Ridge, Isabella Ordonis Duque of Norcross, and then of Rush, you had Anla Austin of Brookwood, Rakaya Gray, Meadow Creek, Ellie Frederick of Peachtree Ridge, Morgan Giesler of North Gwinnett, Santana Harris of Berkmar, Demi Bradenberg of Parkview, Angel Fan of Brookwood, Maya Washington Northcross, and then Caitlin Zervos of Berkmar, and Chloe Ford of Parkview. Second team list is also there, and you can check that out. All right, Craig, I'll let you lead 4.
All right, the Santa Jams hoops on Friday, December 20th, will be at Lambert High School. You got 5 matchups: Creekview versus Duluth, Cherokee versus Mill Creek, Walton versus Seconder, Lambert versus Lanier, and then North Forsyth versus Buford. Obviously, this is the holiday time. A lot of tournaments will have our Corky Kell basketball. An interesting matchup to watch is going to be Walton against Seconder. Walton's coming off a 55-52 loss to Wheeler. Not a bad loss at all. Seconder, their 2 losses, tough one to Cherokee Bluff, who's very highly ranked, and then they lost to Milton. This is a contrast of styles. Walton is very solid defensively. You see that just holding Wheeler to 55 points Seconder, they're able to put up the points. They put up 89 against Cherokee Bluff. They're averaging close to 70. So that'll be an interesting thing to see. Will that Walton defense be able to lock them down and dictate the pace of the game?
Now, I know you don't have the stats, but it was a big game that you mentioned last night, and Gainesville actually upset Sandy Creek on the road. Just what's your quick reaction to that, Craig? I mean, big win for them. They've had some games here they struggled, but that's a notable win.
It's huge. And you were saying don't sleep on this Gainesville team. They have had some losses, but it would come to a team like Grayson or Milton, and for them to get a win over Sandy Creek, who was unbeaten going into it, that's huge. That's why we haven't really bumped them out of that 5A poll. And I think they have a chance to be a semifinal team, definitely make a big run. That's a huge win, and obviously they'll move up in the polls next week.
100%. All right, guys, let's go to the headline 5, our final one for today. Milton running back T.J. Lester named a finalist for Army National Guard Player of the Year. He's had a magnificent season, 1,647 yards rushing and 24 touchdowns. That does not include yesterday's stats at all, so I do want to put that out there. He also is the son of late Tim Lester, who was his dad, a legendary Pittsburgh Steelers fullback who passed away in 2021. One of his season's most memorable moments came when TJ turned a 10-yard carry into a 25-yard touchdown, when he later called the 12-man touchdown, 11 on the field and 1 from above. What's so great about him is, just a great kid. He's getting it out the mud. Last night, guys, I mean, he set a career-high 201 yards rushing in that game and 3 touchdowns. Now, obviously, Luke was phenomenal. We're going to talk about that game more later on in the show, but I want to give him his proper due and also shout out T.J. Lester for what he was able to accomplish in that game. 200 yards, Craig, on the ground.
Yeah, I completely agree. So with Milton, you think of all the fantastic running backs they've had over the years. It's great that he's going to be able to join that group. He wasn't underrated in the sense of anyone that would talk about Milton's offense would talk about him, but as an individual running back, I think he had an incredible career, and he was that feature back for Milton during these 2 championship runs. So all the credit to him. Obviously, it's a tough situation losing his dad right at the start of his varsity career. That had to be tough, but that Milton family around him rallied. I think he had a lot of fun playing, and he ended it in such a great way with the career high. So I think that's just a great overall story, and I like that he's going to go down as one of those great Milton backs.
And then how about him winning also co-offensive player of the game along with Luke Nickel, Georgia Cotton Commish? I mean, I thought that's pretty cool, them sharing both of the award with 2 great players.
Yeah, it's hard to pick one player of the game when they're both going off like that. Obviously, you don't want to snub Luke when he only has the 1 incompletion, but TJ's role in the second half and what he was able to do in that game where both teams are lighting it up in the passing game, but he provided that steady running that was able to really close the door for Milton, came up huge, and so it was great to see them both get honored.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, a great win for Milton. Shout out to the staff. Shout out to Coach Reeves. We're going to talk more about that game here in just a little bit, but I thought he did an outstanding job of just getting that together. Defense really clamped down in the second half, and they are the only team in history that can say, hey, we went back-to-back and we had the first undefeated season in program history. Would like to see them play for a national title. We will see what happens, but definitely would like to see them in that conversation. And hopefully we can have something here soon, whether it's a committee or, somebody coming together, maybe like similar to college football playoff, maybe start with 8 teams, 8 best teams in the country, just go head-to-head. I know everything's different now, Craig, with obviously, with transfer portal you got in there, obviously with the recruiting and the signing day and them have to be on campus early, but would love to kind of see that.
I would too. And I think just with what Milton's offense was able to do all season long is very unique. I mean, they can push the tempo incredibly fast. They can slow it down when they want to. They have the physicality. They have the balance. They have the quarterback. I think overall it's one of just the most well-built, cohesive, dominant offenses I've ever seen. Their ability to score late in the halves and just really any time the other team is trying to come back, just being able to answer immediately, not make mistakes. Everyone seemed to be on the same page. Just a really fun team to watch.
100%. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this segment. Coming up, we will talk to Buck Jenkins of Riverwood about his team that's 8-4 on the season.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Nigel Wilkins along with Craig Sager. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring on Riverwood's head basketball coach, a friend of the show, Buck Jenkins. Let's go ahead and bring him on. What's going on, Coach?
What's happening, guys? How you guys doing?
We're doing good. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir, Coach. So I know obviously a great year, historic year last year, Coach. I got a chance to see you guys up close and personal last week in the Battle of the Peach. Just tell me, what's your overall just temperature of the team right now? 8-4 in a year. I know you got some young guys, some new role players. I know you still got JR, but just what's your overall assessment of the team this year?
Yeah, we're at the point in the season where we're still trying to figure out who we are consistently. Coming off of last year's season, obviously, there's a target on your back, and we're learning how to deal with that. And so we've had some pretty good competition early in the season. Our schedule was really good, and so we're just trying to figure out who we are, so that as we kind of hit our stride during region play, we can learn to play to our strengths a little bit.
100%. Coach, talk about the game last night. I know it kind of came down to the end. A tough game, but you guys were able to pull it out against Riverwood. Just what kind of happened in that one? What made that battle so tough?
It's us learning how to consistently play the right way. We're still got guys trying to figure out where they fit in. We're trying to figure out where guys can kind of give us the most impact. And so, early in that game, we got rolling a little bit. We got some turnovers, got out in transition, and that kind of enabled us to build a lead. And then we got away from that. And then in the second half, like all good teams, River Ridge made a run. And, we were able to withstand it, luckily. But, those aren't the kind of games we want to keep having.
100%. Coach, let's talk about one of your youngsters. That's Clinton McCants, only a sophomore, but I was impressed. Now, he's not a guy that's going to fill up the stat sheet. You've had a couple of those guys over the past, few years, but he had 8 points in the game in the Battle of the Peach. But I liked his effort and his hustle and continuing to keep the boards alive and diving under loose balls. Talk about his play and why he's kind of special to the team.
Clinton's got a lot of potential, man. Like, we're really happy to have him here. He plays hard every day, and just being a sophomore, in my experience, guys that play that hard all the time end up being guys that are like consistently impactful. And so he's been doing a really good job of that. He's working really hard every day in practice. And although he doesn't always get an opportunity to show his ability offensively, I'm not going to be surprised when it starts to pop up consistently, because he works at it really hard.
I think, Coach, you were talking about just trying to find your identity, play to your strengths. Have you done a lot of tweaking just maybe with the starting five throughout this early run of the season? I mean, how much evaluation and game-to-game adjustments have you been making?
Yeah, that's kind of where we've been. We've been experimenting with different starting lineups, different guys in the rotation, trying to figure out if we're better suited playing big because we've got a few bigs, or are we better suited playing with our guards? And so I think it's becoming a lot clearer. The rotation's becoming a lot clearer. And I think it's going to start to happen. I'm thinking when we get to around the region play the second time around, guys will start clicking a little bit and figuring out what their roles are. But right now, we're starting 2 sophomores, a junior and 2 freshmen, and so that lineup seems to be working for us. So we're going to kind of keep going with that one for the time being.
And Coach, your championship run last year was incredible, but one of the things that really impressed me in that finals was, if some of your guys, if their shots aren't falling, they knew, okay, I've got to get points somehow. So they'd be more aggressive, get to the foul line, and make up for it like that. Have you felt that your guys have that same similarity just to get going this season, where if something's not working, they're able to just find out what needs to get done?
Yeah, I do. We're still like I said, early in the process of figuring it out. But I've seen stretches where we've been able to, stay competitive in games or increase a lead in games because, guys are making the adjustment during the game. Rebounding the basketball is one of the things that we kind of preach. And so, we'd like to consistently win the rebound battle. And so yeah, I do think that. I think our team this year is kind of suited with that. We've got bigs, we've got guards, we got some guys that can shoot the ball. So any given night, we have the ability in terms of our personnel to adjust to how the game is laying out in front of us. And so I feel good about our guys' ability to be able to continue to grow in that area. For a lot of the guys that are new, this is their first time with us to kind of understand how we do things. But a lot of our guys are guys that have been around. They don't have the experience yet, but they've been in the program for a couple of years. And so a lot of what we're talking about is stuff that is starting to resonate a little bit, and I think will sink in.
And then in terms of the three-point shooting, how's that been this season so far?
Not like we'd like it to be. We're getting enough threes, but we're not making nearly as many as we need to. And some of that is just the type of threes that we're choosing to take. I think when we decide to take threes off of paint penetration or off of any particular action that we're trying to run, we make more threes. When we take threes off of kind of just individually creating those shots, we tend to make less of them. And so we're working on focusing on taking the right kind of threes. And I think when we do, we'll see our percentage go up a little bit.
And then we'll obviously get to see you in the Corky Kell second annual. You guys will be playing McEachern. Just talk a little bit about that matchup and what it's going to be like to be able to challenge your team like this, be on TV, and just play in a nice environment like this.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for us. Being able to play against a team like McEachern early in the season can only help us when we get to February and March. We know we've got our work cut out for us on Saturday. They're a good team. They're athletic. They're well coached. They push the pace, and so we're gonna have to step into that environment and be prepared to handle that. And our guys are looking forward to the opportunity to compete. It means a lot to be able to play a game against McEachern and also in the event, and being an opportunity to play on TV is great. My kids are looking forward to it.
Coach, I want to ask you about J.R. Leonard, right? We know how prolific of a scorer he is. I've enjoyed seeing him kind of mature as a leader. But just what have you seen from him? You in practice with him every day. I feel like he can take any shot, turn around, fade. He can get bumped and go to the rim, slash, whatever you need him to do, he can do. But just what have you seen in terms of just his growth?
Yeah, he's grown a lot. This year is a big challenge for Jay because, last year with him and Karras, it was kind of a two-headed monster. And so it's really difficult for teams to stop two high-caliber guys like that. And now when it's just him and he's in a different type of setting, he's learning how to be as impactful during the game with his rebounding, with his ability to create for other people. He's still growing in that because, again, we've been together now for 2 months, and so guys are just still figuring things out, and they're learning to play with him, which is also, a challenge. Is guys have to be able to play, with JR effectively, and so he's taken the challenge to lead, and I know it'll help him when he gets to the next level because he's going to have to step into that situation and roll with whatever punches are there as well.
100%. Well, Coach, I want to say thanks so much for coming on, and I appreciate you as always, and especially you playing in this event, Coach. It means a lot that you was able to be on TV and just be able to share the limelight, with your program and just show everybody in the state how good they are.
I appreciate it, man. I hope we're going to show up and compete, do our best, and I appreciate you guys having us.
Yes, sir. 100%, Coach. All right, guys. There's Coach Buck Jenkins, one of the best ones in the state. You'll see him on Saturday at McEachern for the nightcap. As we conclude our Corky Kell Day for the Basketball Classic. Coming up, we will have championship roundup with Max Warborski. Gosh, I messed his name up.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
The Mechanical Trades Institute is an opportunity towards personal financial freedom through hands-on and rewarding work. Our school is completely free and gives apprentices the knowledge and skills required to gain access to a lifelong career path. Apprentices learn pipe fitting, plumbing, mechanical service, and welding. They earn money as they learn and graduate with no student debt. Start a career with the Mechanical Trades Institute and change your financial future.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
To High School Sports Daily, I'm Najee Wilkins along with Craig Sager and Max Waborski. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Max, I'm going to have you kind of come over just a little bit. Yeah, get you in the camera there. There we go. Yeah. All right. So you were covering our game yesterday, Max, the Burke County versus Carver Columbus. Yeah. Pretty good one. Obviously, Carver Columbus was able to pull away. Matthew Mungin had a really good game. But what caught your eye in that one? Why were they able to kind of come out with a victory?
Well, it seemed like from the beginning, Carver Columbus was just a step ahead. I mean, in Burke County, they scored first, and then they fumbled after Burke County kind of got back into it, and then Burke County scored, and then Carver Columbus kind of got punched in the mouth, and then they punched right back, and then they kept punching, and then Matthew Mungin, like you said, I mean, he went 19 for 20. He had over 320 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air. He was unbelievable yesterday, and that really set them apart.
Yeah, and then I want to ask about the interception return they had for touchdowns. Zay Billingsley, Craig just pointed out, just what did you see in terms of that? That was a big momentum-shifting play. It
was huge. I mean, they got the ball back. Burke County looked like they were about to go have a drive for themselves, and they really just kind of jumped the RPO and just ran it right back in to the end zone, 18 yards in. But it was just a huge play, huge momentum-shifting play, right when Burke County seemed like they have momentum in the game.
Now, Craig, I want to ask you, they did an outstanding job, and I just want to pull up these stats real quick, guys. 4 carries, 28 yards for Kelvon Scott, and then 8 carries for 16 yards for Amir Williams. Craig, those are 2 guys that are very good coming in. 1,000-yard season for Amir Williams, a near 1,000-yard season for obviously Kelvon Scott. How impressed were you with that Carver defense? Once again, standing up and limiting another good offense.
100%. Rusty said it best. How will Carver Columbus go up against a Burke County offense that runs this wishbone? And they'd only really played one team similar to them all season long. So it's about adjusting to that type of offense. They shut down the run almost completely. And then I will say, in terms of Burke County, their top receivers are usually Amir Williams and Kelvin Scott coming out of the backfield. They did have some drop passes in that game, but I just think that was because the speed of the Carver defense was so overwhelming. They're kind of looking around to see who's about to hit them when that ball's coming. They did have some nice plays. I like the one in the second half, the Joshua Arroyo touchdown. I guess he slipped out of the backfield. The tight end got him pretty wide open. But other than that, I mean, the Carver defense all year long, all their shutouts, I think 14 points is probably the most they've given up since early in the season. They were just unbelievable, and we got to talk about the fact that most of that roster is underclassmen. They're going to be back next year.
That was you leading me into my next questions, but I ask both of you guys, how dangerous can Carver Columbus be going forward, knowing they're going to get Kobe Castlin back, Matthew Mungin's coming back, KJ Miles is coming back, Tristan Givens is coming back, the 4-star edge rusher. How good can this team be next year?
I mean, I think the sky's the limit with these guys. I mean, it's all about the progression of how Mungin goes throughout the offseason, but, I mean, you showed it yesterday in the state championship. He looks like he's getting there. He's really progressing very well. And another name, like you said, Kamari Miles, I think we need a shout-out on the show. I mean, he had 7 catches for 179 yards and 3 touchdowns yesterday. I believe yesterday they showed it during the game. He had around 280 throughout the entire season. For him to almost eclipse that mark during one game yesterday and on the biggest stage is huge, especially because he's a freshman.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, I remember when we had our Quirky Kell 7-on-7 flag football tournament at Georgia Tech over the summer. Carver was one of the teams. I watched them square up against Blessed Trinity, and they gave 0 breathing room. And then offensively, you saw, okay, this Carver team can throw the ball. They can pass. They got receivers all over the place. But to see them have the day passing that they did with Mungin, 19 of 20, 327 yards, 4 touchdowns. He looked very confident out there. The confidence is only going to build. I think he's going to want to have a great senior season, and they might I think Rusty was also pointing out, when there's blood in the water, this Carver team, they're going to take advantage of it. They can overwhelm you. I expect that same tenacity next season.
100%. All right, guys, let's talk about another game. I'm going to get a single shot here. I want to talk about the Hughes versus Milton game. My gosh, what a game. They both threw haymakers, in my humble opinion. I mean, two outstanding teams. And I asked for this one shot because it really hit me yesterday, and I want to give a special shout-out to Coach Boone and the Langston Hughes program. What a phenomenal job. He kind of, after the game, sat there, just kind of took it all in. I went and talked to him, and I said, Coach, you got an outstanding program. You're doing an excellent job. Came up short, but just the fact that they went toe-to-toe with Milton in that first half and constantly came back. Every time they scored, C5, Christian Langford was finding Maurice Gleason or Jabari Jones or Kershawn Sellers or Carson Baker with his 3 rushing touchdowns in the first half. Did a great job. So I just want to give them a shout-out. Langston Hughes is a phenomenal program. I know they're going to lose a lot of players from this year's team, but Coach Boone, I just want to say, keep doing what you're doing, man. We see what you're doing out there in Fairburn. Got a phenomenal program, man. I know you guys will be back. So I just wanted to say that about Hughes.
Yeah, I mean, Milton's going to lose a lot next year also. I think with Hughes, they had such a disappointing finish last year. We saw their game against Rome. They just looked out of sync offensively. But what Christian Langford did this season was unbelievable. His numbers were off the charts. He was able to go toe-to-toe with Luke Nickel in that first half, make incredible throws. He was on the money with an incredible group of receivers. I thought his play was outstanding. Anyone that hadn't been following Hughes this season, because Milton was the premier team all season long, I think everyone walked away from that very impressed.
And then what about yesterday, both state championship games, Mungin and Nickel combined? 2 incompletions.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Well, they were talking about was Mungin's performance maybe a state championship record, having 20 attempts, only 1 incompletion, and if it was a record, it got broken in the next game somehow by Luke. That's pretty remarkable, being like 96, 95% completions. That's unheard of. I thought Carver, they really just made it look like a 7-on-7. The way they were able to pass the ball, and I think that's one of the things that is a benefit of competing in all those 7-on-7s during the summer, is once you get to December, it's second nature.
100%. And then obviously shout out to Coach Steph Brown as well for that receiving core. Obviously for Langston Hughes, I highlighted in my article for the upcoming weekend. They had outstanding performances, Xavier Tiller, Jabari Jones, Kershawn Sellers, and so many more. So shout out to them and Maurice Gleason, obviously, as well. But let's talk a little bit about today. Obviously, Milton, great job. Great second half defense real quick. 64 yards, 4 first downs, and no points. Great job by Bill Reeves. Yeah, C.J. Wiley had the pass deflection. He did a great job as well. But let's talk about the matchups today. I'm going to start with you, Matt, before I go to Craig. Which one of these 3 are you most excited about? And give me a storyline, something we should watch out for.
Well, I think obviously the big one everyone's looking for is the 6A game with Grayson and Carrollton. I think it's really storylines looking at the Grayson defense against this Carrollton offense and what they can do to slow down Juju in this offense, because no one's been able to do it all season long.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think Tyler Atkinson will have a great game. They're going to have to produce turnovers, though. I think that's something Grayson can do. Obviously, they can't or commit any offensively, or Carrollton will capitalize on it. The game I'm most looking forward to is the Prince Avenue Christian Hebron. I think that is very evenly matched. We saw the first time they squared off. It was an unbelievable game. I think Hebron's playing a little bit better, but then you look at what Prince Ave did to North Cobb Christian, just completely shutting down that passing attack. That is... that was a very notable result, just seeing how they adapted to a team that wants to go through the air. They shut that down. I think Hebron's a little more balanced, and then defensively, Hebron's really going to be aggressive. I expect them to try to get Prince Avenue Christian just off its rhythm.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, the other game I got is obviously Jefferson Calhoun. I think it will be a good one. I think Trace Hawkins can really establish himself as one of the premier quarterbacks in the 2028 class with the win. Jefferson is really good. Max Brown's going to be one to watch for, Sammy Brown's little brother, but he's making his own name. And obviously, Grant Markey. Can they slow him down? He's a great passer, and he's also equally as good of a runner. 1,000 yards on the ground this year. That's a tough test, but can Calhoun be ready? And then the X factor in that one, Amari Winston. How often can they get him the ball? They've been sharing it a little bit with him, kind of banged up with injuries. Can they get him the ball in open space and let him work? Kind of what we've seen with Ethan Barbour last night and several other high-end weapons.
100%. Yeah. Max, I want to ask you about Ethan Barbour. What impressed you about him yesterday? Obviously, a lot of guys had great performances, but just kind of the physicality and some of the plays he made.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that I feel like is going to translate very well to SEC football next year, especially at Georgia, where they kind of seems like with tight ends these days, they're just breeding them out. But I think he'll fit in very well to the system. Yesterday, he displayed, like you said, the physicality, the ability to get open in space and to get out and run. I mean, he's just something different.
Yeah, 100%, guys. Well, if you liked this, we will have more tomorrow. We'll have the recaps of the final day of the state championships down at the Benz. All right, guys, coming up, we'll talk to Greenbrier's head flag football coach after they repeated and beat North Oconee. Daily. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to talk to the head coach for Greenbrier here in just a second. We have a quick update, Craig, before we get into that interview.
Yeah, McEachern was able to defeat Lambert 26-6 to win their first ever flag football state title. That was Division IV. They were up 6-0 at the half and then closed it out 26-6. Undefeated season. Great job by McEachern. I know they're going to be thrilled to be able to take that first ever state title.
100%. Shout out to Miss Georgia football, Chelsea and Joko, and obviously the head coach, Jake Bergedorf. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on the head coach for Greenbrier. We talked to him a few weeks ago. Coach, congratulations. You have won a state title. How good does that feel, Coach, to bring it home to Greenbrier?
Oh, man, it's a huge accomplishment. Just really proud of our girls and all the effort they put in all season, but especially preparing for the state championship game, it was pretty neat.
100%, Coach. And obviously, last time we talked to you just a little about some of the things you had to endure, obviously, the hurricane, things like that, and obviously the loss to Alatuna. But it seemed like it really shaped you guys. And one aspect I want to ask you about is just the continued growth of this defense. I think 15 shutouts this year, Coach. You do another one in the state championship game in the win against North Oconee. How are they just able to click so well and communicate at a high-end level and produce these type of outcomes?
Well, I think we had one starter that we hadn't found yet at the corner position that first game. And it's pretty cool. She was a cheerleader before and decided she wanted to play flag football. Of course, our competition cheer team is really competitive, so I knew she was a good athlete. But, man, she was a great fit at corner. She actually had an interception. That's Lexi Lacey there in the state championship game. Watching the film was kind of funny. Her knee actually didn't hit the ground, and the referee actually apologized to me and to her personally, which I thought that was pretty great. So that was kind of the missing piece. And then a lot of experience on the defense, returners, and being able to change defenses quickly and communicate that without having a defensive bust is really important when you're playing good teams.
100%. Now I want to ask you about a young player for you. She led you in sacks this year. Ariana Boone, 13 this year. Just what did you see from her? I mean, being so young but stepping up big for you in big-time spots.
Well, she was a full-time starter last year. So even though she's young, she's played a decent amount of flag football. Just a phenomenal athlete. We actually played her, and she's never played linebacker all year, but she played some linebacker for us most of the time in the state championship and played man-to-man, played zone, shifted out of her zone and still rushed a couple times. Just a phenomenal athlete, great punter. She has a huge leg, pinned them deep a couple times. Just a fun girl to be around, too.
100%. Now, Coach, before I throw it to Craig, I do want to ask you just obviously with the 2P, not easy to do. Usually that year after you have a big target on your back and things like that. But just how was that preparation in the offseason? How were you just able to do it and get everything to kind of just flow together because you're playing that tough competition, week in, week out?
Yeah, our area, I mean, we don't have to travel far to get stiff competition, and especially teams that we have to play multiple times. Evans was a Final Four team, and Grovetown was a play away from beating North Oconee in the Sweet 16. Lakeside went to overtime to make it to the Final Four, or to not make it to the Final Four. But so we're playing really tough teams, and you play them multiple times. You got to prepare, and no doubt there's a target on our back, and those teams would love nothing more than to knock us down, and very close to doing it. All three of them were. We played tight games, so I think that made us a better team too.
That's right. And then, Coach, you went into the half leading 6-0. You knew North Oconee would possibly try to make some adjustments. What did you see from them in the second half that you guys were able to continue just to complete that shutout?
Well, they did show us a couple formations that we had never seen, and we kind of went conservative defensively for a few plays to try to figure out how we wanted to defend it. We didn't want to give up a big play with any kind of lead in flag football. Points are huge, and they're not easy to get. Even if it's a 6-0 lead, it's not nothing. So we had to adjust pretty quick though before they were able to get any points. And then of course we got good athletes. So sometimes even if you haven't got the perfect defense called, they sometimes just make plays.
And then talk about Kinsey Horton, your senior quarterback, what she did this season, just her career overall, just these last 2 years.
I mean, I don't know anybody who can throw it better than Kinsey, which obviously as an offensive play caller, it gives you a lot of flexibility when you can put the ball anywhere on the field. And just really consistent, accurate thrower. I thought she really grew this year in toughness. Not just physical toughness. I mean, we saw that in the state championship game too, getting hurt and then coming back and throwing another touchdown there at the end. But also just mental toughness when things aren't going our way, not being upset or letting that take another play to, cause the level of our play to go down because we're frustrated.
100%, Coach. Well, that's all the time that we have. We appreciate you coming on and talking about your great Greenbrier group, and want to say congrats again, Coach, on the 2P.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all y'all do.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Coming up tomorrow, again, we will have a state championship roundup recap. We'll talk about everything about what happened tonight in the big-time championship games. We'll talk about our fast break headlines and, of course, have a few coaches on. And once again, make sure you tune in every day, 12 to 1 p.m. right here on the Peachtree Sports Network to watch Georgia High School Sports Daily.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.
Basic combat training is a 10-week experience that will challenge you both physically and mentally. Each phase of your training will introduce you to new soldier skills, building and advancing them along the way. You and your fellow soldiers will work as a team to accomplish each mission, overcome each obstacle, and earn the right to wear the black beret of an Army National Guard soldier.